Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to my range. This is Papa D and Papa D's Range Time. I've got my LSU purple tiger shirt on, ready for a little bit of football in the next couple of weeks. I will be going out to California to see the LSU UCLA game. Really excited about that. For my cousins that are in Fort Worth, you can be your purple for TCU. Today I'm working with my Glock 19 Gen 4, and I'm also working with a Taurus TX22. This is kind of my mess ups, and I wanted to take and talk to you about the series of unfortunate events that I had with this. So I had a Vortex Venom red dot sight on my Glock 19 Gen 4 MOS. Very fine sight, but for an everyday carry it was not the best sight because it would go off after 8 hours. So in the morning times I would have to make sure I turned the sight on, verify that it was on, and then if I was still carrying 8 or 9 hours later, I would have to turn it on again. I really like the Vortex Venom, and it has served me well, and I've had it on this gun for probably somewhere in the 6 to 7 year range. At the time, that was what was available. So here, let's fast forward to now. SwampFox has come out with, as well as other companies, has come out with a shake and awake or an auto on, however you want to look at it. Any movement will turn the red dot on, so it's always ready to go. So I wanted to take 20 minutes and swap the Vortex Venom off of the Glock 19 Gen 4. I wanted to put the Vortex Venom onto the Taurus TX22 Competition. The reason why I was doing that is I will never carry the Taurus TX22 Competition. It's going to be a range gun, and so before my range sets, and they're rarely 8 hours, I could turn it on and it would be good for the entire set. So I thought that would be really well. The problem started whenever I started to take the Vortex Venom off of the Gen 19 slide. I used my tools. I had handles with the Torx, and I found the screws to be extremely tight. Now keep in mind, 6 or 7 years ago, I don't remember what Loctite I put on it, and I didn't have a torque wrench at the time, so I probably put it kind of like as tight as I could. So I used the soldering iron to apply heat to the 2 screws, and I was able to break the first 2 screws off, get it out, and that allowed me to go ahead and, in the 20-minute time frame, to get the Vortex Venom mounted on the Taurus TX22. I'm pleased with that, and the TX22 has a couple of different plates, and you put them in different positions, and it was extremely easy. I still have to sight this in, and I'm going to take and do more information on the TX22 in another video. But right now, that's where the Vortex Venom wound up, TX22 Competition. I'm pleased with that. Now I had to get the adapter plate off because, of course, the adapter plate that I had on the Glock for the Vortex was not going to work for the SwampFox Liberty. And I even read the instructions, and the instructions say that the Glock MOS systems takes the plate too, which I had. The problem is, whenever I went to take the 2 screws out of the plate, they were also extremely tight. A soldering iron applying heat, one of them I was able to get out, the other I broke off. Not what I had in mind, so I took the slide completely apart, took all the parts out, so I had a bare slide so that I could take and put it in a drill press. I was not feeling real good about drilling on a slide, but it wasn't going to work the way it was, so moving forward, drill press set up. As I was drilling, and I didn't have a left-handed bit, and I was using a 5/64 bit. And yes, I broke the first one that I was using, hence going to the second one. Fortunately, I didn't break it in the slide. So the second one, as I was drilling, the screw turned loose and drilled and threaded itself to the bottom. Now I'm at the bottom and I don't know how deep, so using my depth gauge on my drill press, I was able to gauge or judge how deep I could take and drill it. Once I did get it drilled with that particular size, I was thinking that I could take and be able to back it out since I'd have a hole in it. That didn't work. Extractors didn't work because it was so close to the bottom and such a small piece that I couldn't get a bite on it. So I said, okay, well, use a tap. Well, I didn't have a bottom tap. I only had a regular tap, and I was able to get it to the first 2 or 3 threads because a regular tap was hitting the piece that I had in the bottom. Long story short, I cleaned the threads up as best I could. I didn't have a thread file that small that I could get in there. So I used a screw that was provided with the Glock adapter plates, and slowly I was taking and clearing the threads, take it out, and I finally got 5 or 6 threads really good, but I wanted to get a few more. Hence my next problem, which was I broke that screw in the slide. Again, back to the drill press, drill that one out. Fortunately, it being right at the top, my easy out was able to get that out. So more cleaning, and I was able to take a screw that came with the Vortex Venom, put it on a grinder, and remove some of the threads. So I have about 5 threads of the screw into the slide. It's not a perfect situation, but it's usable, and that was what I had to work with. So I was able to clean my base, oil it up like the instructions say, put the base on, Loctite the 2 screws in place to put the base in place. One screw is a full threads and the other only has about 5 or 6 threads in it. It's a 3mm screw. It's really small. So hence the importance of using a inch-pound torque wrench. 15 inch-pounds, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's what it specs out as, and it makes it so where you can take and get them out years down the way. So now we come to the red dot sight. SwampFox gives you a series of 3 different types of screws, the M3.5, a 4-40 and a 6-32. Reading my Glock adapter plate magazine, I knew I needed the 6-32, and I hear my thunder coming in. So the 6-32 were the screws that I immediately grabbed from the SwampFox box. As I put the sight on, I torqued them down, and I wanted to check for a flush fit and found out that the screws were too long. They were elevating the rear of the plate and then putting stress on the other screws. So after I'm doing more research, in the SwampFox manual, it says it's supposed to be a 6x32 by 0.315. The screws that they sent me were 6x32 0.374, just a little bit longer. Obviously I didn't have the shorter screws in any of my stock, so I had to put 2 of these on the grinder to get them down. Then I had to take a thread file and get them so where they would thread in. So my 20-minute process was about a 4.5 hour ordeal to get my red dot sight on my Gen 4 MOS slide. And fortunately, I have it, and I'm pleased with it. Now, unfortunately, I can't test fire right now. My wife has to come home because it takes both of us to get the slide off. It is impossible for me to get this slide off one-handed. I have no use of the fingers and I can't pull down the tabs, and trying to take and figure out a way to do both on this gun has been beyond my expertise. So whenever she gets home, I'll take and swap the slide, and I'll take and run some rounds, and I'll take and get this on a bench rest, sight it in, and hopefully finish this ordeal so that I have a functioning, sighted in SwampFox shake and awake red dot on my everyday carry Glock 19 Gen 4. Guys, I hope that you don't have to go through this. Definitely on the SwampFox, whenever you do get one of these, again, this is the Liberty. It's a 1x22 red dot. It actually fits pretty well. I probably could have gone with the Sentinel also, but I wanted something a little bit more surface area. It does hang over the sides by maybe a 1/16 of an inch. That's not going to affect my carry enough to take a worry about it. But check the screw length that comes with your red dot to verify that it matches up with the literature. I will contact SwampFox about this to see, one, if I can get the correct screws, and two, to let them know that there is a slight error in their packaging. Anyway, guys, this is just a brief overview of my fiasco of what I went through trying to take and mount my new red dot shake and awake SwampFox Liberty handgun sight to my Glock 19. I hope this saves you some headaches and some hassles. Make sure you get a torque wrench. Make sure you use the proper Loctite. Back 6 or 7 years ago, I don't have a clue what Loctite I used. I just didn't know that much about it at the time. Anyway, again, thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you down the road on the next video.